It's the middle of March and I have seedlings that are growing so well, and I have others that I'm getting ready to start, and I just want to show you an update for my Central Indiana Zone 6 with the last frost date of April 25th. But I really don't plant anything on April 25th. I know better now, and I wait until probably the first week in May to plant everything that doesn't handle the cold well outside. Let me start by showing you this beautiful purple majesty ornamental grass. I am mainly starting this for my seedling sale happening at the end of April here in Central Indiana. And when I say my seedling sale, it is really a very small outdoor garage sale type of things, but for seedlings. This will be my second year doing that, and this will be my first year having ornamental majesty, purple majesty ornamental grass. I started these guys on the 13th of March. Today is the 17th. So only a few days old, and it's looking amazing. Now I started these guys in the bigger soil blocks. These are not the 2-inch, these are the 1.5 inch. And the reason why I did that is because I know that the roots on these guys are going to go wild. Look at that. Look at that beautiful root there. And I have plenty of these guys. I did place 2 seeds in some of these. Some of them have 2 seeds, some of them just a single seed. And I am going to let these guys be here for at least another 2 weeks here. And then I'll move these guys into bigger containers where they're going to finish growing for the seedling sale. These are amazing. If you're wondering about the soil that I use for the soil blocks, it's the 4Vs from Vermont. I use it straight out of the bag. I didn't even have to sieve this one. The soil blocks are kind of big on this one, so I'm not really worried about any little pieces of chunkiness. Look at that beautiful things. These are so nice. Beautiful. And then right here, this is my second succession of Feverfew. This is Feverfew. This is Magic Single, and these guys I started on the 28th of February. They have been here since then, and they are getting ready to be potted up. And I started a second succession because I didn't have that many germinating the first time that I tried germinating this a few weeks ago. Let me show you those. This right here is the first succession that I did of Feverfew. These were started the same way. Then these guys right here in these 5x5 containers. And I move them into the 6 cell. And if you're wondering, all of these beautiful, colorful containers are from Bootstrap Farmer. Look at that. I know the roots are already happening there. These are beautiful. So these guys right here are definitely ahead by at least a couple of weeks. And I'm excited because I have at least a couple more of these guys. Beautiful. And if you're wondering, Feverfew is a cool crop, so they can handle cool temperatures. I'm actually going to be getting these guys outside here pretty soon, the next 2 weeks, to start hardening off, to start the process of hardening off. And I am going to be planting them here at the end of March or so. And then these guys, I'm going to pot them up real soon into this size. And then I'll probably plant these guys mid-April. And hopefully they'll be okay. These right here are all of my sugar snap peas. I started these guys on the 9th of March. Today is the 17th. So they have been here for about 8 days. This is 8 days of growth. And I use the 72 cell, or this time I use the 72 cell for starting the sugar snap peas. I am getting ready to get these guys outside so that they can slowly transition. I am going to plant them as soon as these temperatures go back to somewhat normal. Today was the high for 28 here in central Indiana. So here in a couple of days, when everything goes back to the 40s and 50s, I am going to harden these guys off. And I am going to be planting these guys. I'm actually going to make a special video. I have been documenting how I'm starting these guys. I soak the seeds, the sugar snap peas. I soak them in water for a few hours before I place them here. I place 2 seeds on each pot. Some of the pots have 2 plants. Some areas do not have anything. Some have a single plant. And I'm completely okay with that. I have plenty of sugar snap peas here. Aren't these lovely? And again, these are the 72 cell tray. I like to use this kind when I have plenty of one plant to pot up, because this is like super nice. And these are super heavy duty. And I am placing them in this shallow tray so that I can bottom water this way. Neat. If this is the first video that you're watching on my channel and you're wondering about all of these colorful containers that I have for growing seeds, I get them from Bootstrap Farmer. And I actually found them a few years ago when I first started growing from seed. I wanted to get some products that weren't too flimsy, that I could use more than one season. If you're familiar with the stuff you can find locally, you know that those break super easy. They're really hard to carry, especially when you have plants that are really heavy, that are full. I cannot even remember how I found Bootstrap Farmer back in 2020, but I purchased my first set of pink trays back then, and I still have them today. Since then, I have been growing my collection of colorful pots and trays. Somebody recently asked me what my favorite color of Bootstrap Farmer is, and it's really hard to decide. But if I was to choose, I will say that green is my favorite of all. I don't know, there's just something about that shade of green that it just makes things right for me. If I had to choose a second color, I think that it will be blue. Do you have a favorite of what they offer? And I love that they are really starting to push things for us, small gardeners with the small backyards, with growing very small amount of plants. And I think that this is just a great resource for people who are starting to grow things from seed and want to get things that will last for years. Now here's another tray that I recently started. I have a few things here. Let me see, I just watered this, so they're still soaking up the water. These guys right here are probably my favorite type of seedling when they start germinating. These are hibiscus, splendor, mahogany splendor hibiscus. Look at that beautiful, beautiful baby leaves. These are not the true leaves. These are just the ones that are coating the seed. But look at how beautiful that is. I started these guys on the 12th of March. These are also going to be for the seedling sale. Half for the seedling sale, half for my own garden, because I will use a lot of this for my bouquets. How beautiful those are. I have very good germination. What is going to happen here is that these guys are going to grow for a couple more weeks here. Have 2 of them here. They're going to grow for 2 more weeks here, and then I'll move them into their final size for the seedling sale. Look how gorgeous that is. These are beautiful. And if you're wondering about the color, like the topping of some of the stuff that I have here, this is vermiculite. I started using vermiculite for my seedlings for quite a few years now. Everything that I plant, every seed that I place to germinate, it gets a layer of vermiculite. How beautiful that is. All right, so, and I also have basil here, and it was started on the same date. This is genovese basil. Started on the 12th of March. And if you are wondering why I have like 20 seeds on each little pot here. I go really heavy when I am germinating basil, and I do this for a lot of things too. Right now, I just want to get the seeds to germinate. I am not worried about what size they're going to be growing. I just want the seeds to germinate. I want to see what they have. Once these guys have maybe 2 sets of leaves, of through leaves, then I'll come here and divide them. I'll probably have 3 of each little pot here. So this 6 cell will give me 18 plants. And I am growing this for myself and also for the seedling cell as well. These are my favorite marigolds that I grew last year. These are the really big orange tall marigold plants. And I started these guys on the 12th of March, and look how gorgeous they are already. Again, I am just putting a bunch of seeds here. I am trying to get the seeds to germinate, which I have great germination, as you can see. As here in a couple of weeks, I am going to be dividing these guys and placing them into the containers where they'll be for the sale. I am going to be keeping some for myself, but most of them are going to be for the seedling sale. I will have these marigolds, this type of marigold, but I'll have them a little bit more towards later in the fall. So I'll probably start some seeds maybe in June so that I can plant them in July. So hopefully I can have them by the end of August, early September for my bouquets. Okay, these are a little bit embarrassing. These are the cuttings that I took from my snapdragons. They're pretty big. They are pretty big. Look at that. These guys just took off. Like, they really, really took off. I don't know if you can see the roots there. I placed these cuttings here on the 19th of February. And I am going to have to pinch the cuttings that I took now. And I could easily try to root these guys, but I'm going to stop it here. I am definitely going to go heavy with pinching. I'll probably go like somewhere here. And I gotta plant these guys outside. I actually going to take this entire tray here outside so that I can start doing some hardening off. What I'm going to do is that I'll probably just cut them first. I'll pinch them first. That way the wind is not too crazy on these tall snapdragons. It's a while. Right here, these are my dahlias, you guys. These are the dahlia cuttings that I have been propagating from the tubers that I woke up early in January. Back then, I woke up the tubers, I put them in some soil, some potting mix indoors under the lights in a warm environment, and they started producing sprouts. They started producing shoots. So I removed those. I put them in a small 6 cell. They look like this. I put them in a small 6 cell, and I kept them with moisture, and the moment that I see that they start developing roots, then they go into something like this so they can continue to grow. Let me see if I can show you one. Let's see. Do I see roots? I think I see roots. Let me see if I can show you one. Look at that. Look at the root system there. Isn't that so beautiful? I am making a huge mess here, but that's okay. Look at that root system. That is just beautiful, beautiful. So they're going to continue. This one right here is a labyrinth. And I am going to continue providing with water, making sure that it has plenty of light. And I know that some of you were a little bit skeptical in how I was taking the cuttings, and I know that because you left me comments, and some of you even messaged me saying you're doing it wrong. But here's the proof, you guys. I took those cuttings, I baby those cuttings so they would root, and once they rooted, I just place them in bigger containers. They're going to finish, they're going to continue to grow here, developing those roots so that I can plant them at the end of April in my gardens. And this tray right here, this is free dahlias. Every single little tray here is a free dahlia that I took myself of tubers that I already had indoors. Just imagine if you had to purchase 32 tubers or 32 cuttings, how much each of these guys will be. And some of them are varieties that I don't have many of. For example, Shadow Cat. This is one that I don't have many. This is a dark dahlia. I love it. I don't have many of them, but I have plenty now. I have a bunch of labyrinth. I love that variety. I have peaches and cream. Love that variety as well. This one is Ferncliff Spice. Love that one as well. I have plenty. So just to show you that if you don't need 32 dahlias, then that's fine. But maybe you have one single tuber that you want more of. Then if you plan your time correctly and if you give yourself plenty of time to propagate, to grow those cuttings, then they're all free plants. I mean, who doesn't love free plants? Okay, right here I have a few things. Let me show you this. This is Thyme. I think I might just keep these guys for myself. I started these guys on the 28th of February. Look how beautiful they are. And again, I overseed. I add a bunch of seeds. And when it's time to move these guys up, I'm probably going to get like three plants from each cell. So I'll multiply what I have here. Right here, I am hoping, I don't know how these guys will turn out, but I'm hoping that I can have this lemongrass for the seedling sale. I started these guys on the 28th of February, right here. Look how beautiful these are. And I may have, in some of them where I have plenty of seeds, I may just divide this in two, and the ones that I have a lot. But the idea is to have at least a couple of shoots, if not more than two, for each final cell. So I'll have a handful of lemongrass. I don't think that I will be selling like an entire tray, but just a handful will be fine. Right here is one that is making me worry. This right here is, these two trays are Verbena bonariensis. And I have probably maybe 10%, maybe even 20% germination. It is really bad this year. I did everything the same for Verbena bonariensis as I did in the past years. I treat the seeds with a period of cold stratification, and I place them here, and the germination is just really, really bad. Now, the seeds that I got this year are from Botanical Interest. I don't know if it's maybe the batch that I got, but I did, when I realized that my germination was super crappy, I ordered from Johnny's. They arrived yesterday, and they are currently in the freezer right now, preparing them just the same way that I prepare these guys. Hopefully, I'm not too late. Hopefully, they still have plenty of time to develop for the seedling cell. So, we'll see. This right here is the Coleus. The Coleus is so tiny. This right here is sweet paprika. I don't know if you can really tell the tiny seedlings. They still have at least another week or two before they can handle being moved to bigger containers. And all of my Coleus are like this size. They're like super tiny. But that's Coleus for you. I started these Coleus on the 3rd of March. So they have been here for a couple of weeks. I want to show you a couple more things. One, these are the petunias that we started for the grow along. Petunias, we started on the 25th of February. Look at that. They are ready to be potted up. So I am going to do that. I'm going to do that here. Well, I have to make another video for the marigolds, for the grow alone. So I'll probably do that in the next video. But I'm going to be moving these guys up in the next size up. These right here are some very sad looking cuttings that I have from other dahlias, and they need lots of water. That's the thing about cuttings. You need to keep the soil moist most of the time, ideally with the dome to keep that moisture in, but these guys, they'll be fine. Once I give them water, they'll be fine. And right here I got these dahlia tubers that I place in soil for the main reason, for the only reason of taking cuttings. I have 5 different types, or I have 2 different types of dahlias, 5 tubers each. And what I want to have is I want to have a total of 8. I want to have 8 dahlias of the same so that I can plant them outside. And right here, looks like all of these tubers are giving me a beautiful, beautiful, this guy is definitely ready. Beautiful, beautiful cutting. So I need to take these cuttings. I haven't given them water from the bottom. I'm not really sure if you see any roots yet. I don't think so. But this 10 by 10 tray has holes at the bottom. This is where I keep the soil. And for this case, I bottom water and it's perfect. But when I take these cuttings, they'll go into something like this. And if they root, then they'll go into bigger pots. So that's what I have in this tray. Okay, these right here are my lufas. And I started these lufas on the 3rd of March. So look at that. Look at that beautiful, beautiful green. These lufas are so beautiful. They're growing so well there. My idea is that I am going to have these guys available for the seedling sale. And by the way, if you're in central Indiana, if you're local to Hamilton County here in Indiana, send me an email if you want to know more details about the seedling sale. But if you are thinking about getting lufas and you didn't plant like 3 months before you were ready to plant these guys, let me know. And these right here are all of my cosmos. I have 4 different varieties of cosmos growing both for the seedling sale and for my own gardens. I have double click cranberries, which is probably my favorite to grow for bouquets. I have double click snow puff, also beautiful. I have this variety, which is afternoon white. So this is a new one that I am starting for this year. Most of these seedlings are going to be for the seedling sale, but I'm saving a few for my own gardens. And if you're wondering, all of these cosmos were started on the 13th of March, and they're doing amazing. And the other variety that is new to me, it's this double click bonbon. Rose bonbon, and I think that it's just going to be spectacular. Again, this variety is going to be mostly for the seedling sale, but I am saving some for myself, for my flower beds. The only 2 varieties that I'm going to be using for bouquets are the double click cranberries and snow puff, because they really do perform really well. But they also, the flowers, I think they last longer, and I don't know, they just add that extra touch to bouquets. So these are all of the cosmos. This right here is my second set of Bupleurum that I started indoors. I wasn't going to do a second succession of Bupleurum, but the first one I really had very low germination, so that's why I did a second one. The ones that I have from the first sowing are already outside. They're going to be ready to plant here in the next couple of days. But these guys, I am going to be moving them up here, I don't know, maybe next week into bigger containers, maybe like a 6-cell size. And then they'll grow for a couple more weeks. And hopefully maybe by mid-April, I'll start the hardening off process, and they'll be beautiful and gorgeous for my bouquets. I also went through all of my tubers, all of my dahlia tubers that I am keeping for growing flowers for bouquets for myself, and I also decided which varieties I was going to just not grow this year, and I am selling a bunch of those as potted plants and as single tubers at the seedling sale. Again, if you want to know more of that because you're local to Central Indiana, just send me an email to soilandmargaritas@gmail.com and I'll send you more information. It's really starting to fill in here. I am starting to, move things around because I am using every single shelf here in this small grow room. I cannot wait to show you more of how these plants do. Thank you for being here, you guys, and I hope that you have an amazing week. I'll see you on the next time.